Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Miners together. I don't know how that turns out.
Anywhere you like. But it is going to be crowded.
Fit for? I want to take the spot.
We can. Or are you not? I can. Are you okay there?
I'm okay, yeah.
No, it's going to be full. Anywhere you like. Anywhere you like. Anywhere you like. Hey, you too. Right there. Anywhere you like. Any open spot. Give me your camera. Nice breathing. No, not that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Can I take a picture?
Sit down, bud.
Sure.
There's a spot right here. There's a spot there. There's one right there. Like I said, make a new best friend. Pretend like you're in the military. You're all just cattle. All right. Listen up. Arms and legs in, please. I can't stress that enough. Every tour, and it's not the kids that do it. It'd be some adult. I gotta have that rocking. There goes the Okay. So we're gonna go on 150 feet. Like I told you, we're gonna stop right there and we're gonna chew the fat. You'll take care of Fluffy.
Cat. Choo choo. Adios, cat.
Can you folks in the back hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're like 150 feet in right now. We're in a drift, not a tunnel. A drift, tell me, has one way in and one way out. A tunnel has two openings. This only has one. Parts of a drift. Okay, the roof is called the back. The sides are called the ribs. The floor is called the bottom. And if we came to the end of the drift, we'd be at the face. The face is where the work would happen if we were going to extend that drift, which is called driving drift. Okay? Now, they quit using this part of the mine in the early 40s, but they did reuse it to train what they called helmet crews. Helmet crews get their names from this great big Buck Rogers helmet that they had to wear because of the carbon monoxide for fire. They'd come here and train on how to fight fires underground. They'd light fires in this drift with old tires and mine timber. That's why everything's kind of sooted up if you look around. It's a little bit blackened. So they'd get certified, and then they could go back to wherever they came from and they could fight fire on their mines. In my own experience, I've only been in 2 fires, and usually they're so hot and the carbon monoxide levels are so high you don't ever see the flames. You suffocate them or you flood them. Suffocation with bulkheads is the preferred method. Okay, so, see that red light down there?
Yeah.
When you get to that red light, you want to look down and to the left. I'm going to go around the curve to the left, and the original Copper Creek mine decline is there. It's the only place in this mine where there's a decline with a manway next to it. There's an ore car on rails there, and they used it back in the early days. They'd load that ore car up with ore, and then they would wench it to the surface and dump it, and then do whatever they needed to do with it once they got it to the surface. So, is everybody doing okay underground?
Yes, sir.
That's not very hard to know.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing good. There you go,
Right.
there you go. All right, so, once I go past that light, and I will slow down, so anybody that wants to take a picture is more than welcome to. I will be stopping shortly thereafter to open an air door. We use air doors underground to control ventilation. And then I'll go about another 50, 60 meters, and we're gonna go up into a stove. There's 32 steps. There's handrails, please use them. Anybody that can't negotiate those steps can sit down here with my partner and solve all the world's problems. I'm sorry? I've never heard that term. Yeah. Was that here? Yeah. Where? Name of the town.
What do you know about individuals? I gotta think about it.
I worked at that Idorado when you were raised, you know where that is? On their side of the mountain from Tillman.
Ding.
That was that crazy. You know, everybody. You guys get off on the left-hand side and follow me up here to the stove.
What do we do when you're
Supposed to be going all the way around.
That's right, we have 2 trains today, don't we? I'm sorry, get back on, I messed up, I forgot we had 2 trains. Thanks, Celeste.
Yeah.
I would really piss those other guys off. It's just practice getting on and off. Sorry about that. I just came off the morning run and we don't get that many people in the morning, so we only do 1 train, now we have 2. Thanks, partner.
Oh, good, yeah. I know you don't sound on.
It's early. Get off on the left-hand side as I go by and follow me back to the crosscut. Okay, in the, just a second, everybody gets down here. Okay, in the event that we couldn't get out the way we came in, we take that evacuation tunnel right there, which was about 480 feet. We go back a couple 100 feet, then you're going to look at a staircase and you're going to go, yeah, I'm going to wait right here. Otherwise, we'd come out right on the highway where an 18-wheeler would probably splat you. But when you're leaving the property, if you're going out of town, before you get to the tunnel, look to the left-hand side, you'll see this great big iron gate. That's where we'd come out right there. Now, what we're going to do is, we're going to go down here and use your light. Look at the ground because there's rail. I don't want anybody tripping on it. And you want to stay underneath that yellow vent bag, so you want to stay on the right-hand rib going down. I'll be down there and I won't let you go real far, but that's where we're going to go, and I'm going to show you about chutes. So come on down, please.
Go ahead.
We just crowd right around here and get in as close as we can so you can see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You can stand in here too between this motor and this order car. You can see really good from right there and you can get good pictures. Come on down, don't be afraid, I don't bite. I had two families from COVID. We could only take so many people at a time, and they were from France. We didn't even get to the 150 mark, and they were already singing "Hi Ho, Hi Ho." So you guys want to stand over there on that side a little bit? Okay, so these are typical ore chutes here in Bisbee. They never used air rams. It was all manually done. Okay, when they started out, they used these 1-ton ore cars, and they used men between the ages of 18 and 25 to push them out of the mine. There's a downgrade, so it wasn't that hard. All right, and by full, I mean right below the lip. You don't want spillage, because once you start getting spillage, you're going to have cars come off the track, okay? So they want to keep it nice and clean. Now, after that, young men, they brought mules underground, and they used a mule's working span underground was 3 to 5 years. They treated them really good. They had 2 veterinarians on staff all the time. Anybody caught abusing one of the mules, any way, shape, or form, automatic termination. Okay, and this paid really well, even back then. Okay, so you didn't want to lose this job. After that, they used those motors like I brought you guys in with. Those are called munchie motors. Okay, they will pull if the charge is brand new in the morning. They'll pull 12 of these, more likely 10. Okay, then after that, they used the trolley system. Now bear in mind that this is a hot line when they were using it. Okay, all right. There's a trolley motor on the property. It's out alongside the fence. When I take you out alongside the building where we get off the train at the end of the tour, you're going to see it. And if you're looking into the parking lot, the way you'll be facing, it'll be at the 11 o'clock position. It's black. It's got orange fittings and a big boom on it. Okay? All right, that's that. Now, when these guys tap these chutes, and that's what it's called, tapping a chute when you pull ore from it, okay? The guy would have a piece of lagging. A lagging is any board like that, 5 feet long, 2 inches thick, and 12 inches wide. Depending on where you use it, it's what it's called. That's back lagging. This is side lagging, okay? He'd take a piece of lagging, he'd put it over the end of this car, put a cheater on this arm, feather this to fill the ore car up, okay? Now, bear in mind, it's noisy as all get out. You heard that fan we were coming in? Picture that on steroids. These people right here probably couldn't hear me talk if this was a working mine. So, there's water and gravel coming out of this like a fountain, right? This line is hot. You have a steel cheater on here, right? Yeah, you can see where that's going. You guys got zapped. Anyways, that's what they ended up with here. When they closed this mine in 1975, they were using that trolley system. Now, these things will hang up once in a while, and I'm going to show you when I go around the corner down there how we would regulate what gets in there. I'll hold this over my head. Okay, there'd be one of these bars. This one happens to be an old drill steel that the blacksmith on the surface just put a wedge head on, or a chisel head, right? 9 times out of 10 when these chutes hang up, they come down like this, okay? So in the back, something big is going to wedge, and then it's just going to build up. Now, if it's too high up to use a bar, they go get a miner. Miners are the only ones that can use explosives underground. You get this wooden dowel called a loading stick, put a piece of powder from the Apache Powder Company in Benson, Arizona, and a long fuse primer. Have the door open, put it wherever you need it to put it up there, run a long fuse down here, close the door, light the fuse. There'll be 2 of you. One goes that way, one goes this way to protect it. Remember I said 2 ways in and out of every mine, 2 ways in and out of every working place. Okay? So somebody comes, right, can't go, we're going to blast. We got our hands over our ears, so we got our mouths open for concussion. So that's that. Are there any questions about that? It's really fun when it's hung way up and they tell you to go up underneath it. They pay me a whole $35 extra for that. Money well spent. So, the bicycle. Okay, level boss, which we passed the level boss's desk. Did everybody see that cutout where that little desk was in there? Okay. Yeah. That's where you go report at the end of the shift, tell him what you did for your production stuff. All right. Those are usually older guys or maybe incapacitated old miners, right? And they were complaining because, like, man, we have to walk so far. There's enough track in this mine to go from southern Florida all the way out into the bay in San Francisco. Okay? A lot of track in this mine. It goes way back in the mountain. So anyway, the company built these bikes. Okay. And first thing they did before they brought them underground, they put a thing on the bulletin board. Don't touch the supervisor's bikes. Well, anybody with kids, what happens when you tell them don't touch something? Yeah, and we're all kids down here. We get to play with explosives, play with Tinker toys, all kinds of good stuff. So these didn't last. They were in old ore passes. They put them in old stopes. They loosened the wheels, put wedges. I worked in one mine up in Colorado that they did use these on the main line, but nobody was at the main line during the working hours, so they were kind of safe, for lack of a better term. Are there any questions about what I told you so far? Okay, now, once in a while, somebody asks me about minerals in here. I don't care about minerals. I got paid to break rocks, not collect them. Although looking back, I wished I had. I could probably make a little bit of money. But anyways, I'm going to ask everybody to cover their lights so it's dark in here. And I'm going to show you something that's peculiar unto Bisbee. If I can just get my hand in. Okay. I'll hold it up. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
What color does it look?
Green.
Thanks. Okay, you can uncover. That's supposed to be white. It's calcite. all right? But because there's so much copper in this mountain, it's like if you put a penny in water, what happens? It turns green, right? Same thing. So we had a museum from Paris, France come to get a piece of that just so they could have it in their mind. It's called Bisbee ice. That piece there was probably on the right day, it probably worth $2,000.
Wow.
I see you eyeballing it, ma'am.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Teacher, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Retirement.
There you go. How's that working for you? Yeah. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, if you shine your lights back there behind us, down there, okay, you see that door jamb? Okay, that's an automatic fire door, believe it or not. That was built in 1917. The whole idea was if they had a fire on this side of the mine, everybody would evacuate to that behind those doors. There's a shaft straight back and to the left a little bit. Those doors would close, and then that shaft, which is called a winze, a shaft inside of a mine that doesn't go to the surface, but still transports men and materials between levels, is usually called a winze. Okay? So there's a winze right there, and those doors would close, and then they would take them up and down, wherever they needed to go or whatever they needed to do. Any question about that? Now, you guys see that? Where's my guard lady? Right there. See that bench down there, ma'am? Right there. Don't go past that bench, okay? And everybody line up underneath that yellow vent bag and drop your goods and valuables. And stay on the left-hand side, please. Excuse me, ma'am. And I'll talk a little bit about equipment. That's good, ma'am. Thank you. You last few folks can just crowd up here by you.
Okay.
Right underneath the door jamb. As long as everybody can see and hear. So I'm going to start on this end and I'll work my way through these pieces of equipment. Okay, this is a raise machine, right? Miners call these widow makers. Usually you're using it in an area about this big, but everything you're drilling through is coming right down. Okay, you get really used to water and sand going down your neck and all kinds of places you don't want it to go. Okay, the nice thing about this is, well, there isn't really anything nice about it, other than the fact that it pays really well, but you're going to get clobbered. 90% of the big rocks that you drill through are going to come right down the drill steel and then they're going to shatter right here. So, not fun, but pays good. It's amazing what you'll do for money. Okay, now, when we go from the stove, I'm going to show you the forerunner of this stuff. You guys can come this way a little bit. These are called liners. The original ones, like this one here, didn't have the ability to pump water through the drill steel, so you had to drill dry. You ever heard the term rocks in your box? Some of you, not that anybody here is older than me, but some of you that are old will know what that means. It's a mining term that came from miners getting silica in their lungs, and it would harden. And I knew old miners that it was more important to them to smoke than it was to wear a respirator. So you talk to them and like they had a mouthful of marbles and stuff, but yeah, they usually got cancer and died. Right, the thing about these is, this is gut wrenching. First of all, you gotta drill a hole in the back, because you have to have a block and tackle to pull this up, okay? This whole thing together weighs in excess of 400 pounds, all right? So you got this thing all set up, you're gonna drill your holes. This ground in Bisbee, 25 holes to drill this ground out. It would take them 10 hours to drill it with this equipment and the drill bits that they had back then, which were just regular pieces of drill bits that the blacksmith would sharpen every day after shift on the surface. They would bring them down in a box just like that by that lady's foot, a drill bit box, but they had to have a bunch of them because this trough is only so long and you want a 6 to 8 foot hole, so you have to have a starter steel, a second, a third, a fourth, at least. So you have to have drill bits for all those. Now they did screw on counterclockwise, but big hassle, took all day. All right, now by comparison, in 1954, the Gardner-Denver Corporation invented this bad boy. This altogether is called a jackleg. It's air powered, just like everything else. It's got its own water hookup. Heck, it's even got its own oiler. 90 weight oil, just like you put in a differential of your car and truck, right? Okay, you have a 6 to 8 foot drill steel on here. You hook up your water, you hook up your air, put your safety chain on in case your hose doesn't blow off, right? You stand over here on the side, you have your drill steel. One hand on that, one hand on the throttle. You collar your hole. Once your hole is collared, in other words, the drill bit, you can't see it anymore, you let go with the throttle. Then this controls your pneumatic leg, which extends out 8 feet and keeps proper pressure on the drill. That's the hardest part to learn. Not overcompensating, but not undercompensating. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. Any questions about the drill machines? Okay? Now, they would have used a drill steel with a timkin bit like this. See the holes that are nice in there? Clean out your hole when you're drilling. Water. You get caught drilling in modern times dry. I know you want to make money, but you get a lot of trouble, and it's also against the law. So, though these particular drill bits, they just slip on. There's a brass wafer in there. You sit it on the steel, you hit it, it won't come off. If you have to change drill bits for whatever reason, we'd have bit knockers. These fit on the drill steel. You hit this end with the hammer part of your axe, pop right off. Real easy. This thing is fun to operate after you get learning how to do it. Noisy as all get out. If I was running this plus these fans, those folks there couldn't hear me. 3 basic light signals underground when you're working with your partner. This means stop whatever you're doing. This means go away from me. And this means come to me. And if that light's going around real fast, something's really bad. So, any questions? None? Okay, what I want to do is see that post-it standing out there by itself? We're going to crescent around that, and I'm going to show you a round that's drilled out here. And a round, when I say round, I mean it's all the holes that I need to blast the face with. That would be a round. Okay? So, go down. I'm gonna, yeah, because we're going to look right here.
So that's what took all day to do, is make those holes?
Not with the jack leg. I was not super minor, but with the jack leg, that one I just showed you,
Yeah.
hour and a half to drill this by myself.
Oh.
That's the difference. So if they have hundreds of these areas in this mine that are blasted, you can imagine the amount of ore they were taking out of here, right? Okay, you guys can come in this way, you can see a little bit better. Just don't go past that post right there. All right, so typical round drilled out here for square set timber. When we go up in the stope on the way out, where I told you mistakenly to get off the first time, this will be apparent. Okay, so 25 holes, right? This is called the cut. This particular one is called a 5-hole burn, okay? If it was softer material, we could get by with a 3-hole burn. Right, so you have all your holes drilled out, 6 to 8 feet deep, every single one of them. Ones on the bottom are called lifters, everything else are relievers, okay? Except for these are called dummies, and that's the cut hole. That's the only one we're gonna load. So, you got all your holes drilled out. You take a blow pipe, long thin piece of pipe with an air spud on it. Anything from the waist down that won't drain by itself, you want it to be nice and clean, so you blow it out, okay? Now, granted, after you're done drilling and all that water, you might have this much water here. So you want to make darn sure those are cleaned out, okay? If you don't like your boss, you wait for him to come up. He just got gun-eyed. I always thought that was funny. On this side, they'd be gray. On the back side, just whatever their clothing color was. Boy, can they curse. So, anyway, you have all your holes cleaned out. You're ready to load. The muckers, who are laborers underground until they want to be miners, if ever they want to be, bring you 2 cases of stick powder. Once again, Apache Powder Company, Benson, Arizona. And what they wanted you to do was take a brass prong and stick a hole in there and then stick the fuse primer in. Put it through the hole and jam it. These will not go off from the concussion of me jamming into the holes, okay? They will be cardboard that's wax impregnated, and inside of it is sawdust with nitroglycerin in it. Now, I myself never did it this way. The 2 old guys that trained me said, no, kid, just take them like this. Okay, what they didn't tell me was you're going to get one heck of a headache from that nitro fumes. Okay, oh my God, what a headache. Anyway, get them all done, stick it in the end, load your holes. Okay, you have all your holes loaded and all the fuses are the same length. Well, we don't want them to all go off at the same time. There's a sequence that has to be followed. If I shot all these holes at the same time, I just have irregular bigger holes that don't pull the ground. hole in the ground means I blast it properly and everything is broken as far back as I want to go. So we're going to take this board, which will be a lot longer to accommodate all these fuses, called a spitter board. Okay, we load these in here, and once they're all in there, we're going to cut them. This one I want to go first, so it's going to be the very shortest one. Now, once again, the two guys that I started out with, they were lighting them as we were loading them.
Oh.
They each had a cigarette in their mouth. They said, get the stick faster. But the whole, yeah, we know, just load, push so. But anyway, what they were supposed to do was load them all in here and then light them all, okay? Then they would blast on shift, and somebody once again goes that way and somebody goes that way, and you cover your ears and open your mouth because of concussion, okay? And you count the holes as they go off. And this is honest, this is just what it sounds like. Now, we'll get duller as the muck pile gets bigger, because when the lifters go, it takes the whole muck pile and flips it upside down, and you have a nice slope going up in case you have to drag timber up there to catch the back, which I will show you when we go into the stope. Now, once in a while, you're going to get a mist hole. Well, usually that happens because a rock from here went over here and cut one of these fuses before it burned into the hole. So, you're going to tell your opposite shift, look, we put in 24, but only 23 went. Oh, okay, they know. I'm going to tell my boss is going to tell his boss is going to tell their shift supervisor, who in turn is going to tell his whole chain of command. So there's all kinds of reasons why everybody should know what's going on. But having said that, they've had fatalities here. The guys drilled into a live hole. So now, in more modern times, they will use carbamide as well as stick powder, not where there's water because it dissolves, but carbamide, you pump it into the hole, and if we had a miss hole, you just pull it out with this or run water hose and it dissolves. So really quick, before we go to the back, that train there is going to be at the slide or at the chutes when we're coming out. So when we're done back there and we go through them, please go quietly and quickly. We're going to get back on our train and face the opposite way. But right now I'm going to go to the very back.
Sam, look, you know what that is.
So, this is a slusher. These comes in all sizes, bigger, smaller. There's hundreds of these to this mountain. Right. We blast it over there. We come in, wet it down, bar it down, thump the back, make sure it's not drummy, put our vent bag up, turn everything on. Partner and I take the jack leg, and we're going to drill 3 holes with pins like that shiv block is hanging from. We're going to put that in the face over there. Then we're going to run this cable, and we're going to use this slusher with these cables, 2 brakes worth, or 2 spindles full. This one pulls it to me, this one takes it away from me, and you can scrape it pretty clean. We're going to bring it out onto the track if we're in drift. Then we're going to take this rail knocker, which operates right here, stand right here. This one's got traction, but not traverse, and the dipper. And I will load it into ore cars once he pulls it out onto the rail. If we were up in the stopes, we'd have probably a smaller one of these, and right in front of it, there'd be a 4x4 opening that has railroad rail that's turned upside down. So the fat part of the railroad rail is up, and that regulates the size rock 8 inches that can get through there. Now, when you get hang up, it's usually a long slab that's not very thick, but very long, and it didn't break up going down in there. Yeah? Okay, any questions about that stuff? All right.
Can you go through that again for?
Which part?
Well, those of us in the back can't.
Oh,
see,
yeah,
can't see anything you're
Sure.
talking about.
Okay, come on up closer then. Whoever didn't hear me the first time, oh, I'm sorry. So, this is a slusher, okay? And we blast it over there, and I want to get the material out in the track so I can pick it up with this front end loader, which is called a rail mucker, okay? So we wet it down, we barred it down, we put vent bag in there to get ventilation so it's not dusty and we're not breathing it, but we should be wearing respirators anyway, which I always did. Then we drill 3 more holes and hang pins just like this one. Hang the shiv block on there, run the cable through it. Then with these pulleys, I can pull that ore out onto the track where we're going to clean it up with one of these. Now in the stove, it'd be the reverse. We pull it to this ore pass in front of us. Never be that grizzly there, and I'm gonna sneeze, so excuse me. Maybe.
Look at the sun.
Bless you.
Thank you, any help I can get. So, probably one more too. Did you get that then? I'm sorry that you didn't hear the first time. So, in the very back over here, that's called a cage, okay? The guy that operates the cage is called the cager. He communicates like this with the hoistman, okay? That cage doesn't move unless somebody's in it, period. It's always occupied, all right? The hoistman is wherever his office is to run this particular one. Now, these will fit those silver cars that you saw outside that are pyramid shaped, right? That's why they're made to fit on here. When they moved the mules, they would sling them underneath their cage in the shaft. That's how they would move minute materials between one and another in here. Now, last thing we're going to talk about in here, sanitation car. Miners in Northern California and Northern Michigan back in the day would get hookworm and it was debilitating the workforce. Most mines are not near populated areas like Bisbee. I mean, we could walk to town from the office, what, 3 minutes maybe? Okay, so they invented these sanitation cars. Now, they put them underground, and the guy that cleans those out is either called the admiral or the U-boat commander, because they're usually called submarines by the miners. But he's the highest hourly paid miner, or person in the mine. He's not a miner. He gets straight days and weekends off. That's a big deal to a miner, okay? Right? Everyone I knew was married 4 or 5 times because their wives couldn't stand the stench of the disinfectant. Now, in the early days, they used kerosene. Once it was full, they'd haul it out of the mine and just dump it in the city sewer system. One of those went on eBay, and God knows why. 14,500 and some, excuse me, 500 and some bucks. That's expensive lawn art to me. Anyways, so look, we're gonna go back out, we're gonna get on the train, a different train than we brought in. We're gonna face the opposite way. We're gonna go back out almost to where I opened up that air door when we were coming in, and we're gonna go up 32 steps into the stope. Anybody that can't negotiate those steps is more than willing, you can sit down there, like I said before, and talk with my partner, and she'll keep you company, okay? Okay, so everybody will, remember, we're gonna pass through that group, so be quiet and be quick. Thank you.
Yeah, have a feel.
Watch your head.
Yeah, I could trip over the railings.
How's it going, partner? I see you're still alive, huh? I am. Alive and kicking.
Hmm?
I feel like I'm riding a motorcycle.
Hop up there.
Motorcycle.
You can feel that wind is cold.
Chilly.
If she had a coffee, I stopped at the stove on the way in.
So do you want to sit in
She
front?
comes out now. Burning daylight.
Ain't no daylight down here though.
No idea. I think you're the best son on this train, huh?
Yeah.
I ain't heard before this.
That's what she said earlier. I hate picking up body parts. Michael Sheeran. Yeah, he did a video down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, over there by the drill machines.
Oh.
Crazy.
Huh.
It's really interesting to come down here.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said it's really interesting to come down.
Some things about hard rock mines are the same no matter where you go. Maybe the terminology's a little bit different, or
Yeah.
the way they say things, but pretty much the same. This time you're going to get off on the right. And you're going to, okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to pretty flat. So not very long at all, depending on what shaft you wanted to get to. Are you the last one up, sir?
Yes, sir.
Close that gate, please, behind you, so I don't fall down. Okay, so we're in a stope. A stope is an area in a mine used for production or the extraction of ore and minerals. Now, this mine was started in the early or late 1800s, and we'll use your lights, not mine, so I don't, when I'm looking at you, I don't shine my light in your eyes. That stuff there, when the Army came through, there was a lieutenant, and he saw that on the surface, and he knew if that was there, silver was in the area. This was originally a silver mine, okay? So, he got the leases for this, but they started mining right up here. And they followed a vein of silver. Back in the day, they didn't have long hole machines or diamond drills to look, okay, where's an ore body? Because mining's expensive, but back then it was all by hand, okay? So they cut that. In fact, this whole thing here has been cut by hand. And by hand, I mean with hand tools. This particular stope, which is not the biggest nor the smallest, produced over $4 million worth of materials by itself. Okay, this was the #2 gold mine in America at one time.
Wow.
And no, there's no nuggets down here. It's all very fine. And if you look back at that sample, see that orange stuff underneath there?
Yeah.
That's called a hematite. That has a lot of finite gold in it. So they got a lot of gold out here. At one point in time, especially during World War II, they got so many other minerals out of here, they paid all the expenses. The copper was, well, free. So, all right. There's 3 kinds of miners in a mine. Raised miners, stope miners like we're in right now, and drift miners, okay? Everybody learns in a stope with 2 other guys. Hour shifts, $3 a day's pay, okay? But, doesn't sound like much, but a loaf of bread was a penny. So, it's relative, right? All right, so, they start out with these hand tools. A single jack, a 3 to 5 pound hammer, and a starter steel, okay? So, basically, it's pretty easy. It's just hard. You hit it, a lot harder than that. Quarter turn, hit it, quarter turn, hit it, quarter turn, hit it, quarter turn. Turn it for 2 reasons. You don't want the chisel head to stick, but you want the hole to be round so you can get the stick powder in, yeah? Okay, so then, and this is the part that just gets me. Doing this 2-man job, still under candle power, okay? One guy tends chuck and the other guy wails on it with sledgehammer to you, double jack. Okay, they alternated every other day. They say to keep them honest. I say you can't do this 2 days in a row. I tried this one time in a mine I was working in. We were down for something and the tools were there. It seems like all the equipment that goes underground never comes back out. Unless they're still using it and they want to repair it for whatever reason they couldn't do it underground. So I thought my arm was going to fall off the next day. Now I know why when you see pictures of old miners, you don't see too many big guys. So anyway, any questions about any of that? Okay, now, like I said, we're in a stope. This is cut by hand. You're going, well, how in the heck did they get way up there? Well, we're standing on ore chutes, okay? Right, they're full. This platform's on top of it. But if we were working in here, the muck pile would be way up there. So we'd be like 5 to 6 feet from the back, okay? Now, that raise miner over there, he might drive a raise up over there, a finger raise it's called. About that big around, enough for one guy to go up and down through there on ladders, okay? What he'll do is go up with that a ways, then somebody will come through and start drilling this way to blast, and it's called browing it down. And they'll come across here and just knock it down into this big open cavity. This would be our cut, in other words. Yeah? Okay, yep. And when they mined this out too, they used wheelbarrows, buckets, baskets, sacks, and they took it down over that rail where that light is, down around that rock, around the corner, and they had a way to get the ore out that way in the early days. Because even though this is a copper mine, back then in the early, or late 1800s, copper wasn't that big of a deal. But silver, that was something else altogether. So there's a stope in this mine called the Ballpark. It goes 1,000 feet across and it's 150 feet high. It's something to see. If we were to go there today, well, yeah, it would take us 7 to 8 hours probably. Wow. Up and down ladders through water like this, with God knows what's in that water. Creature from the Black Lagoon or something. So, any questions about anything I told you about thus far? Okay, now, if you guys will just let me get through here. No, you're good, sir, you're good, you're good. Okay, this here is a model of square sit timber, okay? Right, if we were mining that hematite's not like the rest of the rock that we went through where it's self-supporting. It's a lot softer, so it's gotta be supported with timber. Okay, so, sorry. We come in, the opposite shift, which is the guys that came in before us or after us, they blasted this, right? Just like back there when I told you about that round being drilled out, bar it down, we wet it down, we put our vent bags in, okay? Right. Take these two pieces of material called boom hangers. Hang those on the cap, that's what that's called. Back here, there's gonna be two hip hangers, okay? They wrap around this post and there's a J to rest the back of an 8x8 beam on. We're gonna take the cap, we're gonna slide it out by hand onto those booms, then my partner and I are gonna get two of these collar braces, and we're gonna toenail 18 penny nails on the ends. We're gonna drag those up there and hook them to the cap. Then one of us is gonna go up there and timber the back. It's called catch in the back. The other guy's gonna be down here on the floor with a bunch of materials, wedges, blocks, lagging, whatever I need. He's gonna throw it up to me. We're gonna catch the back, right? Once it's secure and we can muck it out, then we're gonna put two posts underneath the new cap, cinch it up from the bottom, and start all over again. The ideal situation is to cycle. Cycling means we came in a blast, we left it blasted, okay? There was a weird thing that I thought was weird. I used to do every time I would clean one out, I would stand in it. Like, I'm the first person that ever stood in that ground. Right? I know it's silly, but I thought it was neat. Bear with me, okay? Any questions about anything in regards to that? No? Okay. All the timber used underground is Douglas fir or pine. We do not use hardwood because hardwood loads up and then it snaps. This stuff here, from day one, they tell you when the timber's talking, the miners are walking. This stuff will crack and groan for quite a while, giving us plenty of time to walk out. Those stalls, that's what those are called. They're gonna stall that long enough for us to walk out if that pillar was to cut loose, and it probably will someday. See that big crack up there? That's kind of scary, huh? Yeah. Don't look up. All right, yeah, so, but they would crack and they'd talk for quite a while before they finally split, because I guarantee you they will not hold that pillar up. They just look good, don't they? Yeah. Mm-hmm. A guy could spend days in here barring down. Best not to look up. You can't get hurt if you don't see it, right? So, are there any questions about anything that I've gone over? Okay, we're gonna go back down, we're gonna get on the same train, we're gonna face the way out, and we're gonna, my partner's probably got the air door open, and we'll be stopping when I open the big mine to get out of the mine. Real quick on the mine, it was opened in the late 1800s, Phelps Dodge closed in 1975, right after the Vietnam War, because the price of copper went from 50 cents a pound down to less than 30. So, yeah. And the town of Bisbee evaporated overnight. It's pretty expensive right now. Oh yeah, if they ever open this up again, it'll be a pit mine. Yeah, yeah. Because across there, that orange mountain, because of the iron in it, that's over 4% copper per ton. So it's pretty good.
What mines did you work in?
Bunch. I worked here, Eldorado, Colorado, Bisbee, California, San Manuel, Arizona, Superior, Arizona, San Manuel again, Superior again. Been around.
Oh my God,
Family
you
of
have.
mine.
No, nope. I was raised by a Mormon family.
Oh.
They couldn't wait for me to go. They had enough mouths to feed.
May I ask you how old you are?
72 this
Oh.
week.
Wow. Happy birthday. I was gonna say, have you had your lungs checked lately?
If I can have everyone show
So on behalf of me and my partner, thanks a lot for coming on the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that Bisbee and Bisbee is happy to take their money.
Thank you, sir.
And ma'am. I'll go slow when we go around there in case everybody wants to get a picture down at that.
What side? What side did he say?
Once upon a time, kids threw
I didn't hear.
flaming tumbleweeds down there, and I guess it shot out on the mountain like a Roman cannon. You go down there, and the timber still shows the singe marks.
Which side is it? Sorry, sir.
You want to look down and to the right when we're going out.
To the right.
It does go up and to the left, but it's all timbered in. You can't see it. Lost their front teeth. Oh, it's nice out.